As we get older, many things in life change, including the way we view socializing. What once felt enjoyable, visiting friends, hosting gatherings, and keeping busy, may no longer bring the same fulfillment. In fact, many older adults prefer a quieter, more peaceful life, gradually stepping away from frequent social visits. This change isn't about losing interest in others, but rather gaining a deeper appreciation for solitude, calm, and reflection. In this video, we'll explore why it's often said that in old age, one should limit visiting others' homes. We'll dive into the key reasons behind this advice, from the physical and emotional burdens that social visits can bring to the unexpected misunderstandings that often arise when we overextend ourselves. You'll also learn how choosing solitude over constant interaction can actually lead to a more peaceful, fulfilling life in your later years. Whether you're curious about these changes for yourself, or simply want to understand this phase of life better, this video will offer helpful insights and practical wisdom on embracing the peace and simplicity that comes with age. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon so you never miss out on more content like this. Let's dive into why solitude, rather than constant visiting, can be the key to a happier, stress-free life in your golden years. The transition from sociability to solitude. In our younger years, being social is often considered a necessary part of life. We spend time with friends, go to parties, and frequently visit others' homes, enjoying the company and the energy that these interactions bring. Sociability is encouraged as a way to build relationships, learn from others, and grow as individuals. It's natural to want to surround ourselves with people as we are still figuring out who we are and what we want out of life. However, as we age, we begin to experience a shift. The constant need for socializing starts to fade, and solitude becomes more appealing. It's not because we suddenly dislike people or no longer care about friendships. Rather, it's a sign of growth and wisdom. We've already experienced so much in life, built meaningful relationships, and in many cases, seen the highs and lows of social interactions. With that experience comes the realization that we no longer need to seek validation or companionship as frequently as we once did. For many older adults, solitude offers a sense of peace that is hard to find in constant social settings. Instead of feeling the pressure to host dinners or visit friends' homes, they enjoy the quiet moments, sipping tea in the garden, reading a book, or simply reflecting on life. These moments of solitude bring a deep sense of fulfillment and calm that many people crave after years of busyness. This transition from sociability to solitude doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process, often starting with a desire to spend more time at home and less time out and about. Over time, the need for social interaction lessens, and the joys of solitude become more apparent. It's important to note that this shift is natural and healthy. Embracing solitude doesn't mean cutting off all contact with others. Rather, it means being more selective about when and how we choose to interact. In fact, many older adults find that they are more content with fewer, deeper relationships rather than maintaining a wide social circle. The wisdom gained from years of life experience helps them see the value of meaningful connections over the superficial ones that may have filled their younger years. Ultimately, the transition to solitude in old age is a sign of maturity, self-awareness, and an appreciation for the simpler things in life. The burden of visiting, why it can be a disturbance. As we grow older, visiting others, something that may have once brought joy, can start to feel more like a burden than a pleasure. It's not that we don't care about the people we visit or host, but life's pace changes, and with that comes a different appreciation for personal space and peace. One of the main reasons older adults start to avoid social visits is because they can unintentionally disrupt the delicate balance of someone's home environment. Every household has its own rhythm, routines, and way of doing things. When you visit someone, you're stepping into their personal space, which can sometimes feel intrusive, even if it's unintentional. What's more, when you are invited to someone's home, the invitation might be more out of politeness than genuine desire, which can lead to awkward situations later on. Take, for example, the story of Uncle Ma, a 60-year-old man who loved visiting his old classmate. Initially, Uncle Ma's friend invited him over for drinks and food, and the two would catch up like old times. However, Uncle Ma didn't realize that his frequent visits were starting to create tension within his friend's family. His friend's wife and children began to see his visits as an intrusion into their daily life, disrupting their routine and adding unspoken pressure on the family. While Uncle Ma enjoyed the company, his visits were becoming a source of stress for the household. Eventually, Uncle Ma's classmate had to subtly hint that the visits were becoming too frequent. This left Uncle Ma feeling confused and a bit hurt, as he hadn't intended to be a bother. This situation is all too common as we age. The reality is that while we may enjoy visiting others, we don't always know how our presence is affecting those around us. What might start as a friendly visit can easily turn into a source of discomfort for the host. For older adults especially, the idea of visiting as a disturbance becomes more significant. Most of us no longer have the energy or patience to deal with the unintended consequences of social visits. Hosting guests can be exhausting, and visiting others can feel like an unnecessary effort when we could be enjoying peace at home. Moreover, in many households, family dynamics can make social visits awkward. The host may feel obligated to entertain, while the guest may not realize they are overstaying their welcome. In old age, personal space and a sense of calm become incredibly important. Visiting others, especially without clear boundaries or understanding, can disrupt the peace that older adults have worked so hard to create in their lives. For this reason, many elderly people prefer to avoid visiting others' homes, opting instead for neutral locations like cafes or parks, if they do want to meet with friends. This way, both parties can enjoy the interaction without feeling the pressure that comes with hosting or being a guest. Ultimately, choosing not to visit frequently is about maintaining balance and respect for both your own needs and the needs of others. So, economic differences and the psychological burden. Another challenge that can arise from frequent social visits in old age is the potential for economic differences to create discomfort. While visiting friends and family may seem innocent, underlying disparities in wealth or lifestyle can subtly impact these interactions, sometimes leading to feelings of inadequacy, jealousy, or even resentment. In old age, many people live on fixed incomes, and while some are able to maintain a comfortable lifestyle, others may find themselves in more modest circumstances. When visiting someone who has more financial resources, there can be an unspoken comparison of living standards. The wealthier person may unintentionally showcase their comfort or luxury, whether through their home, possessions, or activities. For the person in a less fortunate financial situation, this can lead to feelings of inferiority, embarrassment, or even envy. This psychological burden of comparison is particularly common in social situations where people are visiting each other's homes. For example, imagine two old friends who have known each other for years. One lives in a larger, well-furnished home, while the other is in a more modest apartment. When the friend with fewer resources visits the wealthier one, They may feel self-conscious or uncomfortable, constantly comparing their situation to their friends. The wealthier friend, meanwhile, may be oblivious to this dynamic, believing that they are simply being hospitable. Even if the wealthier person has no intention of making the other feel bad, the disparity in lifestyles can create a subtle tension. The visitor may feel a growing sense of unease, questioning their own financial choices, or resenting their friend's prosperity. Over time, this can erode the friendship, creating an emotional distance where there was once closeness. Moreover, elderly individuals often become more sensitive to social and emotional dynamics. They may find it harder to brush off feelings of jealousy or frustration that arise from such comparisons. As a result, some elderly people prefer to avoid these situations altogether, choosing to stay in their own space where they feel comfortable and in control, rather than visiting others and risking the emotional strain that comes with economic disparities. Another important factor is that, as we age, we tend to focus more on maintaining mental and emotional well-being. Any interactions that threaten to disturb this peace are seen as avoidable stresses. By limiting visits to others' homes, elderly people can protect themselves from the unnecessary psychological burden of comparison and maintain a sense of calm in their own lives. In summary, while visiting others may seem harmless, the economic differences that come into play can subtly affect relationships, causing more harm than good. Staying at home, living within one's means, and focusing on personal contentment can help prevent these issues and preserve inner peace. The stress of hosting visitors. While visiting others can bring its own challenges, hosting guests in old age often presents even greater difficulties. What once might have been an enjoyable way to connect with friends and family can quickly become overwhelming, especially when managing the physical, emotional, and logistical aspects of hosting. For many elderly individuals, the stress of preparing for guests is simply not worth the effort. Hosting involves much more than simply inviting someone over. It typically requires cleaning the house, preparing food, arranging seating, and ensuring that the guest is comfortable. For older adults, this can be a significant source of stress, especially when energy levels are lower and mobility might be limited. The physical effort involved in preparing for and entertaining guests can lead to exhaustion, making the experience more taxing than enjoyable. Additionally, there's the emotional pressure to ensure that guests feel welcome and entertained. This often includes engaging in conversation, managing social dynamics, and making sure everyone has a good time. For many elderly hosts, this can be mentally draining, especially when they are already dealing with their own personal challenges, such as health issues or reduced stamina. The expectation of being a good host can weigh heavily on older adults. They may feel compelled to go above and beyond to meet social norms or expectations, even if it's at the expense of their own comfort. This sense of obligation can turn what should be a pleasant social interaction into a burdensome task. Take, for example, Mr. Lee, a 75-year-old who used to love hosting family and friends. As he's gotten older, however, the physical and emotional toll of preparing for guests has become too much. He finds himself worrying about whether his home is clean enough, whether the food will be up to standard, and whether he'll have enough energy to engage with his guests. Despite his desire to spend time with loved ones, the stress of hosting has led him to cut back on inviting people over. There's also the issue of timing. Many older adults prefer a slower pace of life, with set routines and plenty of downtime. Hosting can disrupt this rhythm, creating feelings of anxiety or frustration when the visit extends longer than expected. Guests may not realize how tiring their presence can be, especially if they overstay or require constant attention. For the elderly host, This can lead to a feeling of being overwhelmed, or worse, resentment toward the guest for unknowingly causing distress. In some cases, elderly individuals feel obligated to host out of politeness, even when they would prefer not to. This sense of social pressure can lead to resentment or exhaustion, further diminishing the pleasure of the interaction. Recognizing these challenges is important for maintaining balance in old age. There's no shame in acknowledging that hosting guests may no longer be feasible or enjoyable. Setting boundaries, such as meeting friends at a neutral location like a restaurant or cafe, can relieve much of the stress associated with hosting. By doing so, elderly individuals can preserve their energy and protect their peace of mind while still maintaining social connections. Ultimately, it's important for older adults to prioritize their own well-being. Hosting guests can be an enjoyable experience, but when it becomes more stressful than satisfying, it may be time to reevaluate the frequency or format of these social gatherings. The benefits of solitude and peace. As we age, one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves is the opportunity to embrace solitude and peace. Contrary to the fear some may have of loneliness, solitude in old age can be incredibly fulfilling, offering time for reflection, self-discovery, and personal contentment. For many older adults, solitude becomes a preferred way of life, providing a deep sense of calm that social interactions often fail to deliver. Solitude allows us to reconnect with ourselves. After decades spent focusing on others, raising children, working and maintaining relationships, old age offers the chance to focus inward. With fewer distractions, we can finally take the time to think deeply about life, our values, and the lessons we've learned along the way. Many people find that this time of reflection helps them gain a clearer understanding of who they are and what truly matters. In addition to personal reflection, solitude provides a much-needed break from the demands of socializing. Hosting guests, visiting others, or attending social gatherings can all be emotionally and physically draining, especially as we get older. Solitude offers a reprieve from these stresses, allowing us to rest, recharge, and enjoy the simplicity of quiet time alone. One of the key benefits of solitude is the freedom to pursue hobbies and interests that might have been neglected in earlier years. Whether it's gardening, reading, painting, or simply enjoying a cup of tea in peace, solitude allows us to engage in activities that bring us joy without the pressure of time or social obligations. These moments of quiet fulfillment can bring a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction that goes beyond anything found in social settings. Furthermore, solitude doesn't mean complete isolation. In fact, it often enhances our appreciation for the meaningful relationships in our lives. When we choose to spend time with others, it's because we genuinely want to, not out of obligation. This selective approach to socializing makes our interactions more intentional and enjoyable, deepening the connections we do maintain. For many older adults, solitude also brings a greater appreciation for the small, simple pleasures of life. The quiet beauty of nature, the satisfaction of a home-cooked meal, or the joy of a peaceful evening at home take on new meaning when there's no rush or pressure from the outside world. In conclusion, embracing solitude in old age isn't about withdrawing from life. It's about finding peace and fulfillment on your own terms. Rather than fearing solitude, we should celebrate the opportunities it brings for personal growth, tranquility, and a deeper connection to ourselves. How to stay connected without visiting. Even though many older adults prefer the peace and tranquility of solitude, staying connected with friends and family remains important for emotional well-being. The good news is that social connections don't always require in-person visits. There are plenty of ways to maintain meaningful relationships without the pressure or burden of frequent home visits. In today's digital age, technology offers numerous options to stay in touch with loved ones from the comfort of home. Phone calls, video chats, and messaging apps have made it easier than ever to stay connected without the physical effort of traveling or hosting. A simple phone call to catch up with a friend or a video chat with family members can go a long way in nurturing those important relationships. The beauty of these methods is that they allow for flexible communication at times that work best for you, without the stress of having to prepare your home or meet social expectations. Meeting in neutral. Outside locations is another great way to stay connected without the hassle of home visits. Instead of hosting guests in your own space, you can arrange to meet friends at a nearby cafe, park, or community center. This way, both parties can enjoy each other's company without the pressure of hosting or overstaying their welcome. Neutral locations also eliminate the need to worry about cleaning or preparing for guests, allowing you to focus solely on the joy of the interaction. Another option is to create set times for family or friends to meet in more casual, low-pressure settings. These could be weekly or monthly get-togethers, like meeting for coffee or taking a walk together. This type of routine ensures that you maintain your relationships while keeping things manageable and stress-free. For those who enjoy a more personal connection, handwritten letters or cards can be a meaningful way to stay in touch. Receiving a heartfelt letter in the mail can be a lovely surprise for both the sender and the recipient, adding a special touch that digital communication sometimes lacks. Letter writing allows you to express your thoughts and feelings in a more thoughtful, reflective way, while also preserving a deeper connection with the recipient. Ultimately, staying connected doesn't have to mean frequent visits. By embracing alternative ways of maintaining relationships, you can still enjoy meaningful social interactions while prioritizing your own peace, comfort, and well-being. The key is to find what works best for you and your loved ones, ensuring that these connections remain strong without adding unnecessary stress to your life. As we've explored throughout this video, the advice to avoid frequent visiting in old age is rooted in a deep understanding of the challenges that come with aging. While socializing and visiting others can still have a place in our lives, it's essential to recognize when it becomes more of a burden than a joy. The physical, emotional, and psychological stress of maintaining social visits, coupled with the potential for misunderstandings or feelings of discomfort, often leads many elderly individuals to embrace a quieter, more peaceful lifestyle. In old age, solitude is not a sign of loneliness or isolation. Rather, it is a time of self-reflection, personal growth, and inner peace. The freedom to choose solitude allows for a richer, more meaningful experience of life, one where you can focus on your own well-being, engage in hobbies you love, and appreciate the quiet moments that bring contentment. It's about finding joy in the simple things, whether that's sipping tea on your porch, tending to your garden, or spending quality time with a small circle of loved ones. Choosing solitude over social visits doesn't mean cutting ties with friends or family. Instead, it's about being selective with your time and energy, maintaining connections in ways that bring you peace rather than stress. Whether through phone calls, video chats, or occasional meetups outside the home, there are plenty of ways to stay connected without the strain of hosting or visiting. Thank you for watching. We hope this video has provided valuable insights into why many older adults choose solitude in their later years, and how embracing this peaceful lifestyle can lead to a more fulfilling and less stressful life. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to stay connected with us and learn more about living your best life as you age.